I don't know. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great, man. Good to talk to you.
It's great. I got to see the movie last night. I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that.
How does it feel now that people are seeing Blue Beetle and coming to you, sharing their thoughts with it after years of being, in the trenches?
It's really nice to see that the mission, what we aim to do resonates with people, not just with Latinos, but with other demographics as well. And it just gives hope to me that more stories like this can and should be told.
I agree. There's a line in the film that the family says, "We'll figure it out. We get through everything." I'd love to hear, on your filmmaker journey, whether it was with Blue Beetle specifically or on your career to this point, how has a line like that kind of affected you, and how did it bringing it to the movie?
I guess, yeah. It's a very personal line in terms of the fact that as a Puerto Rican and, still being a colony of the United States, very few opportunities are allowed for us to have, and we have to find our own lane. And I guess because of our own situation, I started to develop this concept of trying to be a relentless optimist, because what else have I got? What else do I have to lose? I know where I am. I know what's happening. If I don't try, I know that's always there. So might as well try and fail my own way. I heard from Guillermo del Toro once that real freedom comes from being able to, f it up in your own terms. And I think that's, I wanted to try that and say, we've dealt with harder things. Sure, what's the worst that can happen, right? And I can say that if it wasn't because of that way of thinking, I wouldn't see myself doing this if I thought differently.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're here because you guys make this movie and it's super fun, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
We talked a little bit about this earlier, but I want to hear about the suit because it's practical.
It is practical.
Cholo's really wearing a Blue Beetle suit, and
yes.
it looks so good.
It looks very
Talk
good.
about why you wanted to have a practical suit and what kind of things that allowed you guys to do that you might not have been as good if it was effects.
Well, it was a joint effort. I think we knew off the bat that we didn't have all the resources to be fully dependent on VFX. Mm-hmm. And by doing so, we were we should just make a practical suit that really works and that looks great. And we worked hand in hand with 9B Collective on the concept art and with Majes Rubio, who designed this amazing suit. We were able to not only create it that it looks awesome so that it only needs VFX enhancements, but also something that Cholo could use on his martial arts stunts. So being able to have a suit that had the right materials for it to be flexible, for it to actually have the right response to light and environment, it just made the whole process one that we could maximize our budget, and at the same time it feels tangible.
Yeah, it feels like you can literally.
You can literally
because you can.
Because it is there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I wish every superhero film would do that. It looks so good. And also, there's elements of it that are as a superhero fan, a comic book movie fan, there are elements that feel a bit familiar too. Like the interface is kind of reminds me of Iron Man. The eyes moving is a little bit of Deadpool. Did you find yourself kind of looking at anything else that came before this and taking visual cues or working with teams that had worked on previous films to bring that to life?
We knew a lot of those stuff existed, so we didn't want to use it as a reference. We wanted to actually use as much as we could from the comic to sort of express what we could express in the film and in the comics and in the animation. Blue Beetle, he has a mouth. We didn't do the mouth because it really, maybe somebody finds a great way of including the mouth to the Blue Beetle suit, but we didn't. But we felt you know what? In the comics, he has eye responses, so we can show emotion through his eyes. So we can definitely move that. And it's not a helmet per se. It's a suit, it envelops, it's a mask. So if you talk, it should have a little bit of jaw movement because it's not a helmet. So we were able to have fun, and when we do the vision, we try to do our version of what's in the comics. And then what we did was we wanted to have, how can we go in, but because it's not a helmet, it cannot be the Tony Stark vibe. It has to be right here on your face. So it was closer to I think we tried to draw more inspiration from 2001 Space Odyssey than other superheroes movie in order to see how we can channel that in intimacy.
Yeah, you talked about the comics. Jaime's like only been around for less than 2 decades so far.
Yeah, 2006 he came out with was it Crisis on Infinite Earth?
Yeah.
I think.
So does that? How much did you look at the comics for kind of the lore and the mythology versus kind of feeling like you had a bit more freedom because this isn't a character that's existed for 100 years?
Correct. I mean, the Blue Beetle mantle has been passed since 1940s, right? With Dan Garrett and Ted Kord, which we honor in the movie. But as far as like the Blue Beetle goes with Jaime Reyes, we definitely, the writer, he's like the most well-versed person I know, and very eloquent too when he talks about, it came from the second sector of the universe. This colonizing alien race the rich, and like he's very good at that. But the beautiful thing is like being able to keep the greatest hits from all the different comics and versions of Jaime, not just in the comic, but also like in The Young and the Brave or Young Justice, or even in Injustice 2 on the video game. We went out, we took everything that we liked about it, what the fans respond about it too, and we tried to create this origin story, have all the greatest hits that make us fall in love with this character in the first place.
What made you fall in love with kind of, whether it was Blue Beetle or just kind of superheroes? Do you remember, was there a comic that got you into it, a movie that got you into it, an animated series? Like, you just named so many things that are awesome.
Well, these are all the stuff that I think relates to Jaime Reyes, but I think the first hero that I remember on TV that had like the whole dress-up thing was El Chapulín Colorado. It's the Mexican, the joke in the movie,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So like, so he was like the first one that I remember, like hero, right? Like, like that type of thing. But I think like the first hero thing, I think it was Indiana Jones. The first time I was like, look up to somebody that's cool and has a whip and does shit,
Okay, so that you mentioned that joke in the film, and when that joke happens, there's 3 white dudes seeing it who don't get what's happening, and there's a dude behind them, a Latino guy standing behind, who laughs at it and gets a kick out of it because he knows what it is. And so I was in the theater, and I wasn't familiar with that property and what it was, and the claymation that it became, and I was like, and then everyone else in the theater was laughing. So when you tested the film, and when you're showing this movie to like executives and different people, is there like a moment like that you're like, no, trust, like this is why we have to keep that? How do you, were there moments that were from like cultural moments that
all of them
which ones, was there anything that you were like, I really want to keep this one?
Oh yeah, all of them, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
For me, I had a good agreement with the studio when we started, and it was that as far as the action goes and the explosion goes, you guys tell me, because you guys are paying for it, But if that's the deal, that you have to compromise on certain things, then you cannot tell me how Latino the movie is going to be. So if you have any questions, I'll walk you through it. But I think the collective experience that you had, right, where some things some people get, other people don't. For me, I've always seen it as a positive, because it drives that curiosity. It drives this connection with other cultures. It enriches your experience as a human. And being able to exchange, people are laughing, and maybe I should Google it, maybe I should know more. And you know what, maybe I can have something else to talk about. I can be more part of this humanity that I think is so amazing and so diverse. And I do think that within the specificities of culture, we can find the universality of us,
Yeah, I mean, just before this interview, I was outside talking about that scene, learning what it was, because I didn't know what it was, and I got to have a conversation that I wouldn't have otherwise had and learn about something. And I also saw a grown man walk out of the theater yesterday because he was so excited to see his culture represented on screen in the superhero genre that he has loved for so long, and it felt like he saw himself for the first time ever.
That's
and I was
beautiful.
like, dude, this is it. Like,
that's it.
And
man.
I enjoyed the movie, and I was like, it's awesome.
I've enjoyed all the white hero movies. I enjoy them. Sure. I connect. They don't have to be from my culture. I enjoy Shang-Chi. I enjoy Black Panther. Like, there's no problem. Don't be afraid. Like, we're here to connect, man.
Dude, it's awesome to see like this on screen. I love it. Let's talk about the DC Comics world here a little bit. When you guys were finishing up the movie, the DC Universe franchise got new leadership back in January, and I'd love to hear, if anything, in any way at all, did anything about your process have to change? Did you guys have to have conversations about how to fit this in, or was it just it stayed the course?
No. I think we were smart right off the bat into making this a standalone. Of course, conversations happen because of the way cultures are shifting in terms of superhero. Everybody needs to belong to a clique. And although that is a promise that can happen, we wanted to give this first movie an proper introduction to just Jaime Reyes, right? And his family. That's why the movie, we take our time introducing you to every family member and their dynamics so that you can fall in love with them. So that once the Scarab attaches to him, all hell breaks loose, right?
Yeah.
So by doing so, we're able to create a fresh take on the origin story where the family is involved, when the family or every family member has a heroic arc, and are active participants in the formation of Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle.
Dude, the family was great.
They're so awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
So, but
that's why I have them here with me.
Oh, that's awesome. They're
Yeah.
all on your shirt. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, they cannot be here for obvious reasons, which we support 100%, but I bring them with me in spirit, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a question that a lot of fans are going to have is where this kind of fits. Because obviously, we just had The Flash, which is supposed to be like a reset, and now we have Superman coming in a few years. Have you had to think about, well, is this after The Flash? Who is Superman in this world? Have you made decisions like that?
No, not at the time, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? I think it's pretty vague in terms of, we know Batman exists, we know Flash exists, we know Superman exists, but we don't say how, where, or what, right? So I think it opens up the doors to any interpretation or any direction James Gunn wants to go. And again, because it is setting Jaime up, what happens now moving forward is game. And I think that's why they found out, like, you know, Jaime Reyes can be the first superhero of the new DCU, because he is his own hero, right? That's what I like about it in the sense of this. It's just like, this is the first act of a saga. Like, Jaime's story is just starting, right? It ends with him stepping into the new world, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I think that now whatever, you know, the higher ups wants to do, Jaime's journey is open.
Yeah. I hope you guys get to keep going after that.
Oh man, I hope so too. I want to mature with him, and I want to see what happens to the family, and I want to see him take down the Reach.
I love it, man. Well, congratulations, dude. Enjoy the ride.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.